Nope.
No. And we are ready to go.
Okay, let's see here, call the meeting to order, 6:08. Then we have Eugene Ochoa. Albert. Myself, Malcolm Campbell, and Michelle. All right, order of business, referral positions, deletions. Public comment from that gentleman over there. Okay. We'll do the pledge and. Our flag, see.
Right over there.
Oh, there it is. I will be letting the pledge by Adrian, who is a fifth grader at the K-8 Center. Thank you for being here.
See the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Adrian. Just want to take a moment of silence to remember those who gave their lives for this country. The opportunity to live in a wonderful neighborhood like Loch Lomond in the city of Miami Lakes. Thank you. Moving on, any old business? Then we'll jump right into new business and you have the floor.
Thank you. For whatever reason, I'm not being able to log into my computer. So, but I do have a hard copy, so we can at least do that. For those who don't know me, my name is Melissa Hernandez. I'm the budget officer of the town. I am also a town resident. And yeah, I've been here for about 5 years. So tonight we'll get into our Loch Lomond budget.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So in the handout you have before you, you have the actuals of what was spent by Loch Lomond last year. You have what was adopted in the green column. Now in June, on second reading, we will have what will be amended. So based on how you ended your year of actuals in 22-23, that blue column, you'll notice that it says 87,151 at the bottom.
It's a surplus.
That is a surplus, but that surplus also includes your contingency reserve.
Right, okay.
Because,
That was from there from the previous year.
correct. So
I'm sorry.
if you notice on the contingency reserve line item, on your actuals, it's a 0. Because you didn't spend your contingency.
What was the contingency we had from the year before?
If I could log into my computer at the
More or
moment,
less, do you know?
I would tell you, but for what I can't log in.
Okay, all right, that's okay. I don't want to take you.
Okay. So if you notice on the adopted budget, what I projected to have as your carry forward was 83,000. Now, since now we have actuals, because I don't have actuals when I'm in the budget process, I'm gonna amend it now in June by 3,683, and if you notice on the amended column, it matches the 87,001. Oh, it's off by $1. 87,151. Are we on the same page? Here, I'll show you. So here's the 87.
Right.
When we were in the budget process, I didn't know how you were gonna end the year. It was a projection. So I projected this is what you were.
83, gotcha.
Now I'm amending it to include 3,000, which is this.
Right, and that's 87, gotcha,
You got it?
got it.
Okay. Now, as part of this June amendment, when we did this budget process, you had Kent Securities as your security guard service. In November, which our fiscal year begins October, the budget is already into effect. It was approved in September. This budget is as if you had Kent Securities. In November, when the budget had started already, you guys approved to switch to SFM. Now, SFM is more expensive than Kent. So if you notice in the June column where I'm amending, I'm adding 20,000. I'm adding the 3,683 that I'm carrying forward from the prior year. And then I'm adding an additional 16,500 for a total of 20,183 to your security guard line item to be able to pay for the remainder of this year in the security guard cost. Do we follow so far? Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So I was just
Sure.
looking at this. So looking at the revenues, all the revenues that feeds into this budget comes from the assessment or the taxes?
Yes, I'm gonna get to that. If you give me a moment, I wanna just go through each column first, and then I'm gonna go through your revenue section and your expenses. But, do you wanna finish your question at least? I'm so sorry.
No, finish.
Okay. So then after the amended budget, based on what I've told you, because of the Kent Securities and then the carrying over, You have your year-end projection. Again, this is a projection of how I see this year's going to end. Now, once you have your actual, then we close out the year, which will probably be in November, more. The budget has already started. So then I amend the budget like I'm doing here in June to reflect either if it's less than what I project the carry forward to be or more. And then I take either from the contingency or I add to the contingency. In this case, I'm adding to the security guard cost because it's gonna be over budget. And then in the yellow column, this is what we are proposing for next fiscal year. So with that, now I'm gonna go through your revenues and your expenses. Any other questions so far? No? Okay. So you have 187.5 units within Loch Lomond.
0.5. I like that.
Yeah, because vacant lots are 0.5.
Gotcha.
So as part of going to SFM has also requested to have an increase to their hourly rate. Now, if you notice on the preliminary budget on the yellow, I have 187.50. And then your year in projection for your assessment rate is 2,152. And then for your next year, it's 2,669. So your assessment rate is going to go up because SFM has requested to increase their hourly rate. Now, because you're piggybacking your contract off of Miami Lake Section 1, Miami Lake Section 1 voted and approved to give them the increase. So since you're piggybacking off of that, you automatically have to take in the increase. So if you notice on your year-end projection, under the first part, right before the revenues, I have number of units, assessment rate, total guard service hours, guard hourly rate. So if you notice on your year-end projection, on your amended budget, it's 2050 because that was at what it was for Kent Securities. But then because you switched to SFM, your year-end projection is at 2210. Now, since Miami Lake Section 1 approved and you're piggybacking off their contracts to give them the increase, it'll be 2343. Everyone following me so far? Any questions so far? Am I missing anything?
Right.
Okay.
It's a 14% increase that they asked for.
Are you comparing it from the
20,
It's a 6% increase
from their,
from their 22.
okay, so the 2210 was
SFM.
the SFM number.
The 20 is Kent.
So- And
Because
is that,
remember, when you started your budget, you had Kent.
and is that based on their contract that they're allowed to escalate like that, or how does that work? So they have
Their
a,
contract, they are allowed to request for an increase. It is optional for the communities to vote on for you, the board. However, because you're piggybacking off Miami Lake Section 1's contract, they're the ones, Miami Lake Section 1 is the one that has the voting power on this. So they voted yes, which would affect you being on top of their contract.
What's section one?
Miami Lake
Miami Lake
Section,
Section 1.
Yeah, what is section?
Balgoan Road, near Veterans Park. There's a neighborhood service district in that area as well.
So we voted to piggyback off of that at one point, the board.
well, it's a little more complicated than that. I believe that what happened was everybody wanted Kent off, which I think everyone was in agreement they had to go. And we could lock into their price that they had with Section 1, or we can go out to market and redo the whole thing and not have a guard there, or stay with Kent. So it was voted that we go to Section 1.
Kind of guarantee the price at.
So we won't have a vote ever.
No, that's not
So.
For the entirety of this contract, as long as you are on Miami Lake Section 1's current contract, which is, I believe, from 2022 through 2024 with 2 option years. So
Well, are they voting on the option?
they would vote on the option as well. It's their contract. You're piggybacking off their.
Right,
contract.
but what we could do, we could, if we wanted to, we want to be independent, we could go out and.
At any time, we could amend that to remove you again from their contract and you go out to bid.
And we go out the bid. Now, the idea behind the going out to bid, so it's out in the open, we should discuss it is. I'm gonna tell you, these numbers are low. For what I think, I mean, we can go out and find out, but I think you run two. You can get somebody like Kent, somebody worse than Kent, or somebody better at a higher price.
Yeah.
The prices will be, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you can go out to bid, that doesn't mean you have to award it. You can find out what the market has, and then if this you feel is a good price and you wanna stay with us, you can go out to bid and.
But yes, Paul, there's a possibility that if you were to go out to bid, it would be higher than the numbers that you have currently.
I guess I just want to understand it now, today.
Right, but
since-
we're not, no, because I wanna make sure it's clear, because
Yeah.
it almost seemed like we're tied to whatever, we can pull out of that whatever we want. That's what we have the right to pull out whenever we,
Yeah, that's what I wanted to understand.
right, we're just piggybacking on that price. If we continue with them. With that contract, then we have to stick to that price.
I was gonna mention that,
Yeah.
but you beat me to it.
And these options, are they 1-year options, 2-year options?
It is,
Most of our contracts are 3 years,
Okay.
with the option to renew an additional 2 years.
Okay, so the first option, 3 years.
right, so their contract goes from 2022
Yep,
through 2024.
Yep.
And then they have 2 additional year options, 1-year options.
oh, okay, so the first option is not a 3-year, it's a 1-year.
No.
The
no,
first
no.
3 years are guaranteed, 2022, 2023, 2024.
Now we're talking option.
Correct.
What will that be if it's a
2025 would be the first option, 2026 would be the second. option.
Oh,
1-year options.
1 year.
And after
Yeah,
that,
that's-
you would have to go out to bid. Now, that's most cases of our contracts. I can't speak specifically to this because I don't have it before me,
Right.
but it's more than likely. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
just saying. Thank you.
So, we understand everything so far.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, based on your year-end projection and how I'm seeing, I believe that your carry forward will be about 26,000. Your, one, because of the increase, from your, because of the going from Kent to SFM, and then also, okay, yeah, that's right. So then when I look at my 24-25 budget, this is taking into effect the increase that Miami Lake Section 1 already approved.
I have a question,
Yeah.
something that I think needs to be clarified. When was Kent's contract over?
Oh, I'd have to look at the contract.
Alright.
Give me 1 second. You can continue and I'll look at it, yeah.
And these numbers, the 2343, is that across?
23-43, what are you looking at?
hourly rate.
Yeah, the hourly rate, is that on what's charged?
So,
to-
Miami Lake Section 1 and Loch Lomond are under the same contract. Royal Oaks has a different contract. So they're also asking Royal Oaks for an increase, but they're at a lower level. So their increase is less than this. If
And
that makes sense.
I should clarify this,
Oh, wait.
real quick. At the point that we do go out to bid, whether it's for a Miami Lake Section 1 contract, Loch Lomond contract, or Royal Oaks contract, the different security guard gate, NSDs. We will go out to bid for all the locations to get the numbers for under contract for all locations. Doesn't mean that you have to take that contract, but that way we have the lowest possible number for all locations and make it more uniform as opposed to having multiple contracts.
Right, that's where I was gonna go, and I was thinking that if the more communities you have, the more you can leverage, the price. Cause I thought maybe we're paying more than some others are paying less than us, like, how did they decide that?
Well, but there's a difference. We're the only ones that have a rolling, thing. The other ones, so
The reason-
service.
The reason we chose the Miami Lake Section 1 contract to piggyback off of, as opposed to Royal Oaks, was because as part of the contract with Miami Lake Section 1, the roving vehicle price was already part of it. They don't have a roving vehicle, but they do have that in their contract as an option.
And also the type of security guard, I think it's different, no?
No,
They're both levels.
they're both level,
Level 2. And what are the different levels?
level 1 or level 2. That's it.
Level 2.
And it's based on experience.
Any other questions before I proceed?
The only question was I'd like to know that because it's important to have it within context that I think we were gonna have to. This year,
It was finishing up.
it was finishing up, so this year
Yeah.
we would have to go out
Bid.
to bid.
That's,
That's what I remember too.
2019 through,
Yeah, it would be, no.
Because they had that 1 year option. I think they were in their 1 year option. It would have been this year.
Right.
We would have, yes,
This
they
would
were
have
in their
been-
1 year option. So in 24, we would have had to, we would have to go out to bid right now. And the prices were,
Mhm.
so the decision, the reason, another reason we went with that was because we were locked in at a price and not have any.
Fluctuations.
Yes.
So this price is locked in for how long?
2 years.
2 years.
1 year.
Well,
No.
1 year now.
1 year, right.
no.
No.
There, yes, this would be for 1 year, the current price of 23.43. After this year, they can again request another option for the following year. SFM. Again, if you do, if you do a second year, it would be up to Miami Lake Section 1 next year as well. So it'd be
Well, it'll always be there.
for the entirety of this current contract.
But we can always, so let's suppose that we said that we're having heartburn, that we don't want them making decisions for us to raise or not raise these guys. We can go out to bid and do a separate RFP
Right.
Because I can't.
and get numbers.
And even if the number is the same or higher, but
Well, we get the choice.
Right,
Or we
exactly.
might even want to replace, we don't even like these guys, or we want to do something different, or we want to add services. We have that right to do that.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that we have the right to do.
Yes,
also
we
what's
do have
best for our
that right
community.
to do
Okay.
that. I actually, I think we can do it at any time. I mean, you just have to give the time to do the RFP.
You do.
Okay.
Well, all we would have to do is, on our end, is amend the contract to remove you from Miami Lake Section 1.
You have to give them some kind of notice, like I would imagine, to them, to SFM.
Yes, we would give them a notice, but we would, it's not like ending the contract because their contract would still exist with Miami Lake Section 1.
Got it. All right, that's clear.
Okay, so moving along. So your assessment rate will be going up. It will be 2,669. It was prior to this current year, it was 2,489. And then the council made a motion to remove any extra money that wasn't part of the contingency. So we were able to then reduce it to 2,152. But now with the switching from Kent to SFM and then SFM also asking for an increase in order to meet the obligations of maintaining at least a 5% in contingency reserve, you cannot have more than 10. I recommend 5, so I put your contingency at 5%. You would need to raise your assessment rate to 266, which would be $517 increase from the current amount that it's at. And it would be $179.20 increase from what it has been in the year before. So with that said, your assessment rate at 100%, you would get about 500,000. We take off about 5% for anyone who pays early or has delayed payments, so that we have a budget, because it's more than likely you're not going to receive fully 100% of the assessment rate, because like I said, some people get a discount depending on when they pay, etc. And then I have the projected carry forward based on what I see how your year will end. Now, that amount will more than likely change because, well, I can't tell the future. I have to wait till all the numbers come in. So that's your revenue section. Any questions about your revenue section?
The number, this 2,669, is there a number? This is your recommendation,
The 2,669, that's what you would need,
right?
keeping a 5% contingency.
And-
I'm recommending that you keep a 5% contingency.
And
The
what,
max that you can is 10.
no, but the max would mean more money coming out.
The max that you, by resolution is
and we-
10%.
Right, what is the lowest that we can have?
We don't have a low,
Okay,
but my recommendation is 5%.
I got you. So I have two questions. First question is, if we would go with 0 contingency,
I don't recommend that.
I understand that, but I owe it to you.
Yeah,
If somebody's listening and
100%.
that they know I like to know what that number is, what that difference
So
would be.
it would be 23,000, that's what I. Because right now, what I have in your contingency reserve, which is all the way at the bottom here, that is at 5% of your budget.
Okay,
So if you were to have zero contingency, then that 23,908 would be at zero,
divided by 182 people.
divided by 187.50.
Okay, so it's 23,000.
It will be a little bit more than that because then what happens, no, that's it. I was thinking of something else.
We'll use that, and then if you divide that by 187. That would be $122 less than that. If we go with zero. And the risk obviously is that we would have to go back to everybody and do like some kind of assessment, which would be like that would be a pain. Am I wrong or?
I get more Easter, Mother's Day calls.
You know, a lot of them, I would imagine.
On Saturday evening calls.
I gotta pause the meeting for 1 second. It's not recording.
No. Who texted you? It's not recording.
Nobody. They had a meeting in the other room at the same time,
Oh,
and they get priority.
over us. No, does that mean we have to talk all about this again?
I hope not. We'll have the minutes, we'll do the minutes obviously for it. But,
Well, you know what, if we're gonna pause it, let me see if I can get Dawn to unlock my computer. So that I can,
Well, we really don't have much other than roll call. For time, and then I was just gonna submit this as the minutes, with the minutes.
I wanted to talk about the administrative overhead expenses.
Mhm.
What is that for?
So you have an indirect and a direct cost. Now, in last budget cycle, the council approved to kind of amend that a little bit. The direct cost is a portion of the liaison salary. And how that number came about is taking all the districts, your number used to be higher, I believe. In,
Well, it shows here lower, it's
oh,
lower.
I'm sorry, you were special because
Yeah, we're
you
always
have-
special. I don't
you
know.
have less units. So in order for us to calculate that, you actually benefited from this as opposed to everybody else. We took the total number of units across all districts. And we made it into a percentage, and that percentage, since you have a smaller amount of units, your percentage was lower as compared to how it was before. And it's taking the liaison salary and then dividing it by the percentage. So that's what, based on your units, your direct cost is 7,456.
Well, my question was on the 20,000.
On the indirect.
And then the
Yeah,
indirect,
what does that person do?
so the indirect is all town staff. So for example, the finance department, processing the invoices for SFM. Our procurement manager going out to bid for a new security guard service. Me presenting the budget to you, legal going through anything, I know that they were discussing about people coming in and out of the community and legal giving their opinion based on that. So it's an indirect cost, because I don't work on this 24 hours of the day. There are other things that I do. Now, our liaison, he does most of this, so that's why there's a direct cost, and then there's an indirect cost for the rest of staff. However, something I also want to mention is the indirect costs for all of town hall is really like a 11%. But our council has decided to have it at 4.5% for the NSC. So your percentage is actually a lot less than what we charge as an overhead cost to other things.
Right, because we would use less of it, because we're an NSD.
No, not because you would use the less of it. The way that we calculate it, we calculate the overhead based on our actuals from the prior year. And that amount comes out to, I don't have it with me, I can't log into my computer. It's about 11%. But they trying to be able to be cost effective to you and not have to pay out more, they have decided to do it at a 4.5%.
Still think it's because a lot of it, we do a lot, like a lot of these other places, you have to do everything for them. We do a lot of this stuff ourselves too, so that's why they're gonna bring it.
What is it that what are you referring to that you do a lot yourself?
We do a lot, like, we wrote an RFP completely done with legal people and our own people, and we gave it to, we put a lot of into this as well.
Yeah, because you're
Whereas
the
those
board
other-
and you're trying to do something for the entire community. But the
No.
indirect cost is the staff that works with all of this.
Right, but if it's gonna be distributed, it should be distributed amongst how many, like, the way I would, the indirect cost to me would be. Direct cost is because his time that he works
Mhm.
on the NSD, so it's a full-time position for the benefit of the NSD. Indirect costs would be all the other things to support that, which would be, if you hired a law firm and that law firm costs so, it charges the town so many.
But that's what the finance processing your bills.
No,
That's
I understand.
procurement going out to bid for you.
Right, but you do bids for a bunch of stuff, so how did they get to that, I don't think that 4.5% was just done out of the goodness of their heart and everybody else gets 11%.
But it is because it should be 11%,
Why should it be 11%?
because that is what the overhead is for everything else in regarding the town. So we charge 11% to our stormwater fund.
Right. So then my cousin that lives on the other side, he's being screwed for our benefit, that's the reason. why they
I'm
did that.
not following what you're trying to say.
I'm not trying to say, what I'm saying is, I'm not sure that I agree that 4.5%
It's the same
because.
for all NSC. It's not just.
I understand that. I'm not being.
No, and I'm not taking that. I want to really understand.
What
so I
I'm
can
saying
answer
is,
your
I
question.
think there's more reason why we're at a lower percentage is because we really don't get that benefit like other people do. There's a lot more you have to do for them than you have to do for us. Like, we don't have to write RFPs, but we wrote the RFP. There's a lot of stuff that we do as well. Now, I'm assuming that the other NSDs do that also, like collection for the lake, and it's for our benefit, but that indirect cost, we eat that.
You don't process invoices. You don't actually go out to bid for procurement.
Right.
You
You
did the
don't-
RFP
yeah.
in this case.
But that overhead, hold on a second, but that overhead, that's specific to the NSD, what you're talking about. But you do that when you're gonna build a road, I don't. I'm being charged for, like, if 90% of the civil work and all the RPs you do is on the west side. That overhead should be over there, but I'm paying for that overhead too, out of my 4.5%. So it's not that simple.
But, okay,
You're dividing amongst everybody, but the benefit is more on one side than the other side. Same thing with the police. I hear that argument. I'm just telling you, because that's not a fair argument, and you're gonna lose that argument. The police,
so you're saying we don't process your invoices?
you process my invoice, but you process a lot more invoices on that side than you do. How many invoices do you have for us? You could probably, how many invoices do you do for us?
I don't do your invoices.
I know, but how
don't
many
do budget,
invoices?
I don't do finance.
I know, but you brought up the
so-
invoices. We could talk about financing too, but
Yeah.
our budget is a very simple budget. Our costs are more straightforward than what happens in other areas.
When you say other areas, what are you referring to? Comparing yourself to another NSD?
No, comparing myself to the overhead number that of 11.5% that you come up with, that is for the entire town. So what that means that when you spend $1, there's 11.5% in general that you pay extra to support whatever service that is. What I'm saying is, for the services that we get, we don't have that many invoices like you have in other areas, Our parts-
You do have a lot of invoices,
not like other areas.
but you can't compare it to other areas because then, so that's like saying right now, I'm going to take and mark every single invoice. That is impossible to compare this to that. That's why you do a percentage, because no one's gonna sit there and say, well, JP took
So
5 hours.
okay, so here's the question.
That you would have to
How
ask
did it come-
your council, because that percentage I got from that.
Right.
The overhead is 11%.
Yeah.
So.
The simplest answer to this was a council decision of 4.5% for all NSDs. So it's not just solely Loch Lomond. Royal Oaks pays 4.5%. Miami Lake Section 1 pays 4.5%. Royal Oaks East pays 4.5%. That's a decision that was made and voted on by the council across the board for all NSDs.
And I don't believe that it was done taking into consideration that, oh, they process less invoices than they would everything else within the town.
So why was it done?
I think it was done to be helpful to you and not make you pay the 11%, which is really what you're supposed to be paying.
So
I don't have an answer for you because this
Yeah.
decision would have been made before
Right.
I started. I'd have to go back and to
Yeah, I
see
just want to get back to
exactly.
my question.
Yeah.
So, okay, so whether it's 4.5%, whatever it is, it's for administrative support. I just want to understand what is that administrative support, right? It's just so that we know what we're paying for. So you guys pay the guards based on our assessments, right? What else do you guys do for us? Because you're gonna pay invoices. What invoices are you guys paying for us?
Okay.
Those are the ones I
Let's
want to
see,
know.
there's your water bill, there's your janitorial bill, there's your
For what?
security
For
guard
what?
bill.
The
You-
what, the.
Well, the water bill for what?
For the guardhouse.
Okay, that's what I want to understand.
Okay,
Okay.
that's why I'm saying invoice, I'm sorry.
There's water.
I have
guess-
no idea what
I
you're
guess-
talking about.
Well, there's, yeah,
The way it says there's a water bill now.
She,
Is there water bill now?
she's talking in general terms.
Okay, well, let's
whatever
talk in
speaks
specifics,
about
so.
it.
No,
Because
specifically
they're
for
not,
Loch
they're not
Lomond.
that many
You
bills.
don't have water.
you
bill
don't have
in yours.
water, you have an electricity.
Okay,
Okay, that one makes sense.
Sorry,
that one, okay, I was gonna say the water that's the golf course. So that's not us.
no, that's not you.
Okay, that's what, okay, so
But there
then
are
it's
other
electricity.
houses that have.
I-
water
I-
I
bills
gotta know,
that
but
they
I
have
want
water.
specifically
yours
for
does
us,
not.
specifically for us.
Yeah.
Specifically for you, you have bills for landscaping.
Mhm.
The front,
Yeah, the
Mhm.
flower.
Okay, got it,
The
flower.
flower
The
area.
replacement of your gate arm when someone hits it and breaks it.
yeah, by the way, a lot of times it's the guard's fault because they almost hit my car the other day. And I saw the car that broke it because they brought it down at the wrong time, so,
Oh, yeah.
yep, but
We're supposed to be capturing the license and
Yeah.
letting them know right
Anyways.
then and there.
we'll keep paying for that.
You have
nonetheless.
extermination fees that you have someone that comes to spray the guardhouse so that there aren't roaches.
Okay, so those are those are
Yeah.
good things to know so we can
Yeah,
understand what.
that's when I say invoices, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on that.
No, it's okay,
That's
we're
what
learning,
it is.
we're
It's
learning.
processing all of those invoices. It's not just processing security guard
So
gate.
that 4.5% is
I'm
of
clear.
what number?
Yep.
I'm not clear yet.
Yeah.
It's 4.5% of your budget.
So the $501,000.
With the exception of your contingency.
Okay,
I don't want to go weird.
all right, I got a calculator here, we can do it. So if I take $501,000, 855 minus 23,908 minus, that gives me 477. So if I multiply it by 0.045, that gives me 21. I still don't get that number, so it must be something else that's missing.
Do you want me to give you my computer that I'm already in?
The thing is, I can't log in.
No, but let's do the math
Because
together.
even if you, I need my Excel.
No, but we can do it here.
You don't have access to my Excel.
But we can do it here. Am I right? So out of this number, I subtract the contingency. So if I take 501,855, enter 23,908 minus, that leaves me 477. So it's,
Well, you also have to take out the 27,000 that you're including as the administrative cost. So
okay,
you
no,
have
you,
23, I know.
okay,
Hold on. Let me calculate it.
All right, go ahead.
If you give me-
And, while she looks into that, going back to the regarding guard gates and if somebody was to crash into it, I do go and try to recoup those funds. Whenever somebody crashes into the guard gate, when we get a police report, we go and we try to recuperate those funds from whoever it was. So luckily, we've only had few instances in your area. And we did recuperate some of those funds, especially in the last year. I think it happened recently where there was another one, and I haven't gone through the process yet, but that is going to be done as well, so.
So if you take the 501.
501,
You take out the contingency reserve
the 23,908.
and you take out the 27,716 in overhead. And you
Okay,
take
right.
that, you take that amount and you multiply it by 4.5%, you get the.
Whatever funds come in.
Yeah, do that. Okay.
I don't remember which one.
Got it?
I think so, I'm trying to, yep, I get the same number, all right, so you get, so that we know where that number comes from, hey, guys. It's out of they're charging us an indirect, it's like an overhead multiplier.
Yeah.
Of 4.5% of our physical budget to do this as a overhead that we're paying.
So I want to make something also clear
Uh-huh.
in this. Because the structure was changed, you're actually paying less than what you were paying in prior years. So if you look at your actuals from 22-23, your total administrative cost was 40,000. and now it's 27. So your indirect cost was 33 because at that time we had it at 8%, but your direct cost, the way the calculation had been the same for several years. We updated the calculation for the indirect to the salary that it is right now. And not only that, we distributed it and made a percentage based on the total amount of units over all the districts. So that you wouldn't be paying necessarily more than another district because you have less units than. So everyone was paying the same amount, but it wasn't really, I guess, fair to some degree. So we had some meetings, we figured out a way to make it fair across the board for the direct costs. And in that, keeping the 8%, we saw that it was a lot. So I think that's also part of why it was, because the 8% was the overhead cost from when we took on the NSC, which was the overhead rate at that time across the board. It just stayed at 8% from year to year because the council didn't want to put, and even administration didn't want to put more of a burden on having the direct costs be so high for you. But every year, obviously with inflation and seeing our actuals, it has gone up. So it went from 8 to 10 to 11. I think now it's at 12. I'm seeing
And they
11.
have that at 4.5.
And they reduced it from 8% from when we took on the NSDs because it was at 8%, the total overhead for all of the town. And it remained that way. We adjusted then the
So,
direct
okay,
cost.
I'm sorry, so it was 8.5% for everything, that included his cost as well, or no, just the indirect cost?
Just the indirect cost.
So,
It was 8% from when we took on the NSDs in 20.
and now and then it went up to 11.5%.
It never changed.
No, for us, it never
For the
changed.
NSDs, it never changed.
Never changed, but the overhead, the indirect overhead
For
went
the-
up to
for
11,
everyone
for
else it did.
everyone, to 11.5%, and they capped ours at 4.5%.
So then last year, council made a decision to kind of revamp that, which we did. We adjusted the indirect where you guys benefited in the sense that compared to everyone else based on the units. And based on the salary of what it is now, not at the salary of the person from 2019. You benefited and then in the indirect costs, because now it's at 4.5%. So if you compare, you are benefiting in indirect costs, I mean, in administrative overhead, because you were at 40,000 before. You are now at 27.
And when, okay, yeah, I see that. Hopefully you got a raise then. And this thing went down, I'm starting to feel bad for you now. Jesus Christ.
Well, remember,
That's a big chunk. Yeah.
no, but you also have to take into consideration that the direct cost.
I was gonna make a joke, but I really should have.
Was it 6,610?
Yeah, we are.
I got you, I understand now.
But it
I-
wasn't based on the total units and the percentage.
No, I wanted to take it back on his comment, so now, okay, so. Got it. I'm clear now, you're clear?
I'm clear. I just wanted to know what it was for. I'm glad,
No, I'm glad you asked the question, but,
Yeah.
you know,
just so.
No, and it's a question that comes up in every meeting and it has come up every year. So it is a great question. I'm sorry that I didn't communicate that it was more invoices than just the,
It's okay,
Guard
that's
house.
why we're talking.
yeah.
It's all right.
But I'm happy now that it's clear and you.
and that would also include like insurance and stuff like that. And
So
those
you have a
costs.
line item under your operating cost that is for insurance, which is the insurance of the actual guardhouse. So if a hurricane comes and knocks it down, it is insured. If you notice, it's under, let me see. Is it not showing? Property insurance. Okay, there I see it. It's under your utility service of the electricity you pay for the guardhouse.
$450.
Well, let's see, I haven't gotten the prices yet this year. I just moved it a little bit up, you know.
Oh,
Just about.
So we're paying for a handyman, can we use them as well, or that's only for the return gate?
What do you mean
It
by
would
can we use
only-
them as well?
Like, hey,
It only
no.
be guardhouse related.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you come by my house?
I know what I'm
Have a
talking.
look at my light here.
All right, good, I'm, no further questions for me. I'm
Okay.
good.
question for me, so someone does damage to guard gate. And we know who it is, and they're going after that money and he cuts the check to pay for the damage.
So,
Is that under property
so
damage?
if you look under your revenue section for
Yes.
2022-23, your actuals, you'll see under the line item property damage settlement, you collected $993. So we do go after them. It
Yep.
is an extensive process. It's not quick.
Right,
It takes a while.
well, especially
Typically-
in this last one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
that-
What I do is I always I wrote an email that I send out to a letter to the person.
Yeah.
With the police report attached, with the invoice attached.
Yeah.
And I send it to them, letting them know that they can pay for this. If they do not pay for it, then I will have to go through their insurance.
Yeah.
To this point, I have not had to go through the insurance, which is very good.
Right,
But if, in the event that I do, it is a lot more.
sure. Absolutely.
And if you notice in your year projection, I don't have anything under that revenue line item as if you collected anything for them. So,
So we
but
could
if
talk about
if it does, you know. then
different
have
option
extra
that's not
money.
an arm, like you have like a light that goes across, right? And then when they wanna come in, the guy just hits, it just turns off, next guy comes in, that way they'll never mess it up, there's never any damage, there's.
It's your, that would be, well,
Well,
so your
what?
ordinance would not allow it. You have to have, it's a gate arm, it's a guard gate service,
Mhm.
that's part of your ordinance. You would have to change the ordinance to remove it.
Oh, you have to have something that goes up.
It has to be a manned gate, guardhouse, manned gate arm. So that is the ordinance.
But your idea is what to have like a light across?
Yeah, I've seen like some light, actually, I just saw that. I saw it, yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I saw that up in Deland, Florida.
It's a light that.
Yeah, it's like a beam, yeah, beam like that, and I mean, you can actually go through it,
Like a laser.
but it's a laser, basically, you go through it, but it's there, and then they just turn it off. You know, and
Oh,
then,
that's cool.
um,
That would be an option to consider, for, you know, if the gate arm is down. If the gate arm's not functioning,
yeah.
that would be something for you guys to consider.
Okay. Yeah,
Never heard of that before.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of different options or,
But it's not a bad idea. It's something to put when.
that's the
gate arm is
future, that's the
down.
future.
It's the future, exactly.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to go through each line item,
Yeah.
in your operating cost.
Yeah. It's
I
pretty
have
straightforward.
placed your contingency reserve at 23,908, which is 5%. The max that you're allowed, if you notice on the budget commentary, no more than 10% of reserves of the annual operating budget. So I don't recommend anything below that, but obviously you are the board and you are free to make whatever choice you feel is best for your community and your district.
What do we use that for?
This past year, you used it for the switch from Kent to SFM. A lot of remember there was a price increase between Kent and SFM. So a lot of your contingency reserve
Was used for that.
was used for that.
Your assessment rate would have been much higher had you not had that reserve.
Contingencies can be used for anything. It could be used for a rainy day, if something happens, you know, if in the event that, I don't know, there's a damage that a repair that needs to be done that does not fit in the current budget. Let's, as an example, we have for electrical services, only 1,000 is part of the budget for electrical
Yeah.
services. Let's say that when something happens where the whole system gets fried and it costs more than $1,000. The way you would do that is take some funds from the
So you
contingency
can
reserve
try.
to plug that in.
Those like the reserves cover you.
Right, right. So it's a rainy day fund. Which is why we recommend having something of in the event that you.
If we go with zero, the monthly cost per unit would be 2,500. So there still will be an increase versus 2,600, and you still have the rainy day fund where you don't have to go back.
Had the assessment rate not reduced, you know. I would have said, okay, well, maybe for this year, we'll try to,
Right.
maybe
No, I got
do a 3% or something, but
So
again,
would we
you are the board and you are free to make whatever decision you want. Me, as the budget officer, I recommend that you at least keep them there. The resolution doesn't have a minimum, and I'm probably gonna bring that up so that, so that there's something there in writing that kind of, keeps us accountable to make sure that we stay within what we should.
I also want to mention, because, you had asked for quotes for
Yeah.
awnings as an example. That is not on this
Budgeted.
budget.
Right, we
It's
got
not
that.
budgeted.
That has to go out to.
However, if you did wanna do it in this, let's say that this budget, you approved it as is, and then, I don't know, in 2 months, you decide, 2 months into the new fiscal year, you decide that we do wanna end up doing those awnings, the way you would pay for it would be through that contingency reserve money.
Correct.
What I cannot have is that you go into another year in a deficit, that I cannot have. So. No.
Okay.
Is there any other questions? I wanna make sure that you are informed and you know what you're voting on and that you have the answers that you're seeking. That's good.
Yeah, I don't.
Accept a motion to approve?
Second?
Well, is that the first motion?
Yes.
All right. is there a second?
Motion.
Any other comment regarding it?
Quickly. All right, Brandon.
Thank
Do
you.
we have to vote on it?
Yes,
Yes,
did we get a vote? I saw only,
No,
Oh, no, I thought you got a motion.
so we have a motion. So
Right.
do you wish to approve the motion?
I vote yes.
All right.
Yes. Right.
All right.
So the budget as is.
okay, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Alright.
going to step out now, because I
Thank
do
you
have
very much.
another meeting after you guys, and I wanna figure out my computer. Thankfully, yours was, simple enough that I did.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, have a good rest of your meeting.
the only other item on the list is, new post orders, which.
Ooh,
Yeah, they've been going on for about a month now. Just wanted to put it on there in case you could mention anything, anything you've noticed, anything you wanted to discuss. How's it going?
For what? For the,
The new,
The new-
your ID
oh,
and
I love it. I'm okay with it.
I've
No,
got
some
very,
people
I got,
complain,
well, there were some people complaining, but I got more positive
yeah,
than.
there's.
So
no
did I.
And they, a lot more positive, like, why didn't we do this before? And so,
Things that-
I-
yeah. think
I had
it's-
one guy call me, he went off,
Yeah,
and then after about 20 minutes, he settled down.
that's
all
not
he
too bad.
reported. He said, "Report
It's
it."
not what they tell you for the lake, trust me. That's nothing.
Man. So, yeah, I think all is well.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
going
one
good.
That is opposed to it, but
Have we heard anything from the security guards?
No, there's no feedback from the security guards as far as, everything's been fine on their end.
Okay.
They check the IDs. They're
not all checking the IDs.
that is something that I've been addressing as well.
Yeah.
That it needs to be consistent,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it is being checked.
No, it is, but there's some that don't. And there's certain times I just. I think it's like, gotta let them train. Before you start, but, I spoke to the students and I spoke to a couple of guards, how's the backup, whatever, and they said that they can handle, that they've been able to handle it. But sometimes it gets a little hairy, but usually, and they're doing one more step. If the person doesn't give them the ID, they scan up, they do some kind of scan.
No. So they're not scanning any IDs, they're not.
No, not the ID.
Right.
So if you're the guard and you ask me for the ID and I go, no, they do something where there's like a trigger or something that they send back.
Correct, and it's basically just simply to notify their management and myself. It'll send an email directly to us informing us that this card, just so we have it on record. If anything went down,
Yeah.
in the future. We have it on record that this vehicle did not provide ID and was checked. And they had to take a picture of the tag just like they would with every other vehicle.
I've seen that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a part of it.
Yeah, it's just an extra step so that we
Oh,
have
great.
documentation.
sure.
Um,
There is one guy, that guy, Richard, the guard Richard. Oh my God, that guy's amazing.
You know, with the hat, the guy that always has a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is very
That
good.
guy's amazing.
That guy is very, very
I
good.
have a running joke with him, my cousin Richard, because we have the same last name.
Oh, Janice.
He is really good.
Be there.
Yeah. He needs to be acknowledged.
I'll pass that information along
Yeah, I think it's worked pretty good.
at the next family get together.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Any other new business? See what, number 7, anyone? Oh,
I guess
yeah.
before we continue, I provided the awnings quotes to you.
Yeah.
But did you want to discuss it any further? Or,
I'm not prepared.
I think the issue also is that there's so many things going on with that guard gate and with the bathroom and this and that, that maybe table it for now till we can have like a specific meeting for that. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
The awning is what, just in the front?
It's kind of helpful.
side and the front.
The cards, I know that sun bounds down and then also get the rain and get them to the angle where they can capture that. In a more comfortable setting to them. And to get drenched when they step.
My concern with putting it now, we have to go to the public, right? Not to public, to the residents to decide. But if we also want to paint, or we want to add a bathroom, or we want to do this, we want to do that, maybe it's.
not everything is included in what is considered a capital improvement. So repainting is not a capital improvement.
Okay,
Adding something would be a capital improvement.
well, the
Adding
awning
an
would be,
awning would
right?
be a capital.
But adding a bathroom would be, right?
Adding a bathroom would be a capital improvement.
Putting more parking space there would be an improvement.
Correct.
Did we resolve that issue with the parking?
I'd actually have to check with the parking situation, because that technically not guardhouse related. If you're adding a parking space as a community,
No, parking space for the guard.
directly, specifically for the guards, I'd have to get back to you on that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that would fall under capital improvement, because technically that parking space can be used not only for the guards, but in general, if you ever, I
Got
mean,
it.
yeah.
You added, anybody can use it.
So if I'm like hitting the golf ball on that side, I can park my car right there.
It's good. It's a parking space.
Well, I mean, I just think that maybe to address the issue that we had before, if there wasn't, we can extend it a little, even before or after, just so they can park their cars.
I have to confirm that. I don't have an answer for you at the moment, if that falls under capital improvement or if that is a community.
Going back to the awning, I think that, the concern that we had is that we weren't sure how much it would stick out and if a truck is coming in and if it would hit it.
It was
So,
12 feet. It
12
wouldn't
feet?
12 inches.
Okay.
It wouldn't pass the
Traveling.
end of the sidewalk for the guardhouse.
okay, so it might be.
So it would never go onto the
Got it.
road.
Maybe,
What
okay,
about,
so let's,
what about the color, the shape?
That was all up to you guys. I think there was colors included in the email that I sent you.
Okay.
well, whatever color you guys want, I'm okay with it.
So you want to do it? You think we should do it?
Well, I mean, if it, I guess I haven't, you know what, let's talk about it another time, but I wanna pay more attention because I haven't really thought about it. Not so much the sun, because you can do a lot of stuff for the sun, but the rain, that's
Yeah,
gotta be
it's-
horrible.
It's here.
Exactly, but I don't know if the awning is gonna do that, because you know when it rains, it
And
rains
it
like
comes
that.
in all angles, right?
So if we were to vote yes, what would happen? You would have to put it out to the community for them to vote on it, or how would the vote be? How does that process work?
Well, if you were to vote yes, then it would go, I would present it to the board, to the council. Council would then, we would then present it to the community some way.
Okay.
One way, that we can do that is we have our mail outs that haven't been sent out yet. So anything that you'd like to have community input to be part of the mail out.
And if nobody responds,
Then I let the council know no one responded, you know,
and
and then it's up to them to decide.
Okay.
Ultimately, any decision that's made is made by
by the council, gotcha.
This is, when it goes out to the community, it's just additional input for the
Just
council to
input.
make their final decision.
Got it.
You make the decisions that get put to the to the community.
How do you feel about it?
I'd like to look at the design too, because just like he says, when it rains, it comes in all angles. That awning may not even serve the purpose
Yeah,
if we put it out.
I'd rather buy an
just
Especially
expensive
only-
raincoat,
And especially only 12 inches. Yeah.
expensive raincoat they can use, a nice one.
I know that it's 12 inches, I don't know, I don't remember the angle off the top of my head, I know, you know.
Right.
It-
Yeah, but
it
like you
does-
you have to clear all the big trucks
Right.
coming in, so you really can't go out very far.
The one thing that we did by adding the, and I'm sure you've seen it, the
Yeah.
coverage, the shade,
Yeah.
that blocks
Right.
water from coming
Yeah.
in general. So that helps,
Mhm.
but they do have to ultimately come outside at some point
Right.
to
Take a picture.
talk to the residents or, you know.
No, I think it's a good idea. I just think that we need to,
Another thing to keep in mind and when it does rain. Currently, post orders state when it's raining,
They don't need to.
they don't need to come out, they just put their hand out, take the picture. They don't have to ask questions because,
Mhm.
you know, they're not supposed to be going outside when it's raining. If you had an awning, the driver could drive closer to the awning and could lower down his window hypothetically, and you could still have that action go.
so if it's raining, they don't have to go out.
That current post orders, that has not changed. It is the same as previously. Now, again, you guys can make that decision now by amending the post orders and deciding how you want to do it. We would have to then change the post orders for the guards, but that has not changed in the last month since this new development of the post orders, which is a good topic to have. This is part of, you know, figuring out how it's working and all that.
One question, is the awning only the size of the opening of the door, or is the awning from the front to the back of the?
The way it was set up was from one end, basically,
To the other end?
yeah, so it would go,
Covers
it
everything.
would cover all of it, yeah.
Rather. But like you said, they can come out and move all the way to the end, huh? What'd you say, Pat?
I just don't understand those engineering,
Right, right.
but.
The awning's one conversation, the post orders is another conversation, so that's up to you, how do you wanna,
Post orders is.
the red.
If
The
it rains.
rules that they have to do,
come
what
out,
they
right?
have to do.
What they do
what-
when it rains.
I don't know, how do you feel about, you wanna do the awning and,
I guess I would, but in fairness, you know, he went through the hard work of getting us 3 quotes and I have not. looked.
Well,
But
It
what-
does not
what
have to
was the
be,
range?
it does not have to be voted on today, it's something that if you wanna table for. I just brought it up because, you know, since the
No,
last
I'm glad
meeting,
you
I
did,
sent it
right.
over to you.
yeah,
Glad
you remember.
you can table it for today, and we can bring it up in the next meeting. As far as the post orders, if you wanna vote on that today, so that I can. Make.
I don't wanna do that yet unless they have an awning, right?
Let me ask you
We're gonna
this,
have
what
the
about
awning.
like hurricane? I mean, is it built where a hurricane comes off? Does the awning have to be taken on and off if it breaks?
They would have to be removed.
Okay, so who removes that?
Our handyman would have to go in and remove it.
Handyman,
That'd be a handyman cost.
So,
$1,000.
Yeah,
Well, that was, no, it's $2,000. Where are you getting $1,000?
Because it's electrical,
mhm.
and
Oh,
handyman, there's
okay.
2 things, so if there's a hurricane and we used up our, we can't use electrical anymore, we use it for the awning. So we can help
And
with
is there
that,
a
yeah.
time period where, okay, they take it off and are they gonna take, 2 months to put it back? Or, is there like a time period where you say, okay, and you turn around is 2 days to put it back on?
no, I mean, the only reason we would take it off is if we're, the emergency activation has been
Okay.
up, that it's been activated and we're
Under a
getting
severe
close,
heat
close to a storm, we would go ahead and remove them. And then, of course, after, the all clear, we put it right back.
stroke. I mean, I think the awning sounds cool.
And we do that for
Other areas.
other areas, like the weather machine over here in the parks or whatever, we have to take those down
Gotcha.
during the storm so that they don't break. So as an example.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think we need to make a decision on the awning, then we go back to the.
Right.
So to be clear, we're just gonna leave it as is. If it rains, they continue to do things as usual and take the picture.
Yeah, I don't wanna change that yet. I personally, I don't wanna change that yet. What I would do is I would see how it would work with that awning. To see how much it really covers or doesn't cover and then change the post storage at that point.
I would think if it's pouring really bad, criminals are not gonna go in there and get wet. They don't like that kind of stuff. They're gonna wait till it's dry.
You know,
They look for the path of least resistance.
true, usually, but you know, I'm looking at it more from the guards
Oh, okay.
perspective, but yeah. So, well, then table it until, let's do it for next meeting, but we should kind of look into it and make a decision on
It's
it.
not something you have to vote on at this time, as
Okay.
far as tabling or anything like that.
Okay. All right,
Can I get sent those drawings and colors and?
If I didn't send it to you, I'll go ahead and resend them to you all.
Okay,
That
I
way
never
you just,
received it.
yeah, okay, I'll resend, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
It's good thing.
all right. Move it to adjourn,
Second,
okay,
we're good?
meeting adjourned.
All right, sure, awesome, thank you. Thank you for putting up with us.
That's what I mean, all my questions.
Oh, that was great.
Now when somebody asks me, I feel confident. All right, I'm gonna talk.